Pennsylvania's Auditor General reiterating just days ago that the state's foster care system is broken, a system designed to protect our most vulnerable, putting them at risk of abuse and sometimes even death.
Right now, there are about 15,000 kids in foster care here in the state. CBS 21's Brian Sheehan joins us as we launch a new initiative called Project PA, Children in Crisis. Brian.
It is our commitment to you, to the children and families in this community, to uncover and figure out how to fix a broken system. We begin with a disturbing story of a young girl in the system and her life of abuse. This story has graphic details and may not be appropriate for some.
I have no purpose of life right now. I'm just here. I walk around numb. I feel like I have no purpose on this earth. I know I got kids out there, but I feel like my one little girl was robbed from me, so why would the other ones want me?
Montgomery County, 2001. Young mother Rose Hunsaker and her husband Rodney are raising their two girls, a 3-year-old and a newborn, in a home in Norristown they share with several members of Rose's family. Life is going seemingly well, despite Rose's mental health challenges from a 1997 brain injury. Its effects still slightly visible, even today.
I couldn't ask for a better life. I had my 2 girls. I had everything.
Those 2 girls, 3-year-old Mary Beth, newborn Susan.
She was just the most bundleless little thing when she was born. And she was so tiny, but she was like a bundle of joy.
Who would later be renamed Grace Packer.
I would thought she was always growing to be a beautiful little girl.
Officials say Grace was raped and murdered by her adoptive mother and the mother's boyfriend.
The Richland Township pair are both accused of beating, raping, torturing, killing, and then dismembering the body.
The system failed my children, my daughter, all the way around.
The Hunsakers' nightmare began 12 years prior. Shortly after they moved from Norristown to Reading, Children and Youth Services removed the girls from the home, citing allegations of neglect from an unnamed source.
I was like, what's the cause of you taking my kids? And that's when they said that there was allegations that there was sexually abused. Your girls would be sexually abused and you did do nothing about it.
This gives you some facts of...
Norristown-based attorney David Tornetta handled about 100 custody cases in his more than 30-year experience. He represented the family for several years.
The allegations just became unbelievable. Like, they allowed the kids to be subject to sexual abuse. They allowed the kids to be abused. Not Rose and Rodney were being alleged to have done that, but other family members. The other family members weren't even living there.
Tornetta says the allegations were unfounded, meaning no one was charged with any crimes. But CYS requested the Hunsakers to pass a series of tasks before getting their kids back.
If they would have told me to jump through fire for my girls, I would have jumped through that fire.
It's my understanding that Rose and Rodney fulfilled everything that was asked of them, completed it successfully.
But Berks County Children and Youth decided to terminate their parental rights for the 2 girls and the Hunsakers' baby boy, torn from Rose's arms shortly after she gave birth, while the abuse investigation continued.
It was my opinion after that trial and that hearing that it was an abuse of discretion of the judge, an abuse of power of Berks County Children and Youth.
I think when CYS takes a child, they already have it in their mind that that child ain't coming back to the parent.
In March 2007, the state gave social worker Sarah Packer and her husband David the opportunity to become parents to 5-year-old Susan and baby boy Rodney Jr. Susan's name changed to Grace. Rodney Jr.'s name was changed as well.
I thought Sarah was a good person because she already has a history of working with CYS.
But the Packers would soon find themselves at the center of their own CYS investigation. In 2011, David pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting Grace. He was sentenced to prison and forced to register as a sexually violent predator under Megan's Law.
It was just horrible the way my little girl had to live and was never removed from the home. Never.
In July, Sarah Packer reported Grace missing from their home in Montgomery County. Then months later, the unthinkable. Human remains discovered in the woods in Luzerne County. They're later identified as Grace Packer, her adoptive mother, and her mother's new boyfriend, Jacob Sullivan, charged with her death. The Bucks County District Attorney says Packer and Sullivan kidnapped Grace, taking her from their Montgomery County home to a rental property in Richland Township, Bucks County. There, it's alleged Sullivan beat and raped her while Sarah watched. Court records alleged they drugged her and left her alone in a hot attic, hoping the extreme conditions would kill her. But it didn't. So they returned the next day. That's when it's alleged Sullivan strangled her, ultimately, prosecutors say, killing the 14-year-old defenseless Grace.
After he killed her, then he put her in the closet with cat litter over her. And then they lived in the house.
They lived there for several months, prosecutors say, while Grace's body was left to rot upstairs. Then in October, fearing the authorities were onto them, police say Packer and Sullivan dismembered her body in a downstairs bathtub and drove them to rural northeastern Pennsylvania, where hunters discovered her remains on Halloween.
I just wish I could have done more.
I am the mother that should have been there. These are monsters. I'm her mother. Her life was robbed from her, very much.
What a story, Brian. What's next?
Well, over the coming days and weeks, we'll take a look at the laws currently in place and whether they were applied the right way in this case. The system could be failing your child or a child you love as well. So this is Project PA, Children in Crisis. And we know Grace and the Hunsikers aren't alone. So we are committed to telling your stories as well to help uncover the truth and ultimately help fix this broken system. We have a hotline already set up. You can call 717-857-3613. You can also learn more by going to CBS21.com and looking in the Project PA section.
Thank you, Brian.
Brian,
for that
thank
report.
you. And for starting the initiative.